All right, I'm gonna try this again, everybody. Apparently, my system crashed. I don't know what happened, but thought I'd kind of give you my thoughts because I know a lot of people question the fact that I talk about MLP FIM, and this is coming from someone that's not a brony, doesn't watch the show that much, but yet does collect the figures and maybe even the card games and related merchandise that he sees. But so let me explain why. You see, for those of the for those of you that question that, it's out of nostalgia. It's out of nostalgia due to the fact that I grew up as a kid with the original G1 My Little Ponies. I grew up watching them not as much as I would watch Transformers and G.I. Joe because I was the youngest of three. I had two older sisters, and they were the primary targets for My Little Pony and Gem. Me, my primary focus was G.I. Joe and Transformers. So, lo and behold, fast forward to about 2010, and you end up getting a show that, just like with the original G1, was intended for young girls, and it ends up in just its first season, maybe first couple of seasons, it ends up cross referencing. It ends up cross referencing. It ends up cross cutting. It ends up basically breaking down barriers between its original intended audience and becoming a multimedia pop culture phenomenon. That's what it became. And that's what it's become, basically, a multimedia pop culture phenomenon. I mean, if you were Lauren Faust and Megan McCarthy, or Megan, I think that's her name, Megan McCarthy, and I'm not talking the actress, I'm talking the lady along with Lauren Faust that were behind the series. If they would have told you right off the bat that they were going to make a My Little Pony series and it was going to become a multimedia pop culture phenomenon and it was going to, extend and expand and break down the barriers of its original intended target age audience. It's easy for me to say, its original age targeted audience, and break down that barrier and become a show for all ages and all genders. I don't think anybody would have believed them if they would have came out and said something like that. If they would have said, "Yeah, this new My Little Pony show is going to do all this, and it's going to, become a huge pop culture phenomenon," I don't think anybody would have believed them. And yet here we are. Here we are, basically a year and a half away, maybe a year, depending on a movie based on a series coming out to theaters that everybody is looking forward to. And here we are in the 6th season of a show that primarily you would think only get maybe 2 or 3 seasons. And that's it. Excuse me. You would think that. But yet, like I said, here we are. Like I said, though, yet, here we are. Here we are, 6 years later, into a 6th season, guaranteed, no doubt, to probably get a 7th season to lead us into the movie. And again, if someone would have told anybody that, or even said it was going to happen like this, no one would have believed them. And yet, here you are. Now, I know people still want to know why, though. Why would people like me, who don't watch the show on occasions, but yet will collect some of the merchandise, figures, whatever, why do we do it? And like I said, we do it out of respect. We do it out of respect for the fact that we, like myself, some of us grew up on it. We grew up on My Little Pony as kids. Even though we may have not watched it at times, we grew up on it. We grew up on it because of the fact that it was a big part of our lives. It was a big part of our lives. That's what it was. It was a big part of our lives. And, some of us may not, I know some of you may not agree with that, but it was a huge part of our lives, even though we may not watch it. Even though we may have not watched the original back then as much as we should. But let me let you in on a little secret. When My Little Pony's pilot episode, Return/Escape from Midnight Castle, aired, it aired in prime time. And I do specifically remember watching it. I do specifically remember watching it with my family. I do remember that. I remember it because of the fact that it aired around, I think, 7:30. I don't know if it was in syndication on one of the networks, but I remember watching it. So, yeah, like I mentioned earlier, I have watched My Little Pony. But just like with the current series, I never watched the original series that much either. I would only watch it on occasions when either nothing else was on, it was raining or too cold outside, or, I wasn't allowed to go outside. And it wasn't because I didn't have friends. Because I went to school. Yes, I went to school, but here's the thing. My friends lived in other parts of the city. So they were a little too far for a 6 to 7 year old to even go and visit or spend time with. Yeah. They were a little far off into the distance, if you catch my drift. They were a little far off in the distance. They were so close, yet so far. So I had nothing primarily to do but sit down and watch the show, if I had to. At times, I would go into my room and play with my toys. And if I had homework, I would watch homework. I'd do it. But kindergarten, I don't think you really had that much homework. Homeschool, not that much. But that primarily to let you guys know, and this is the truth, to let you guys know why I do have respect for what Generation 4, G4, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic has done and become. It's basically taken something that I watched as a kid on occasions when there was nothing else on, and it's made it today into a pop culture phenomenon. I mean, heck, they had a freaking spot in a Super Bowl commercial where they was talking about the NFL, and you see this animated portion of the ponies wearing all these helmets representing the NFL teams. If that doesn't tell you the impact that this generation of My Little Pony has made, I don't think anything else does. I mean, heck, they have several documentaries you can find online, and you can even purchase on DVD and Blu-ray, talking about how big of a mass culture phenomenon this has become. I mean, again, if you, you know, here's the thing with me. I looked at it like, how could, I still question at times, how could it have done this? What was behind it? And then when I read up and hear about, when I read up and research the history of the people, the creative team behind the show, I'm like, holy crap. These people are obviously are pretty good. They obviously know what they're doing. Because you look at the credentials, you hear all the other successful shows they've worked on, animated, live action, and it's like, holy smokes, you couldn't believe it. And now, like I mentioned earlier, we are less than a year away, or a year and a half, if not a year away, from the movie coming out in 2017. A movie that a lot of fans are looking forward to because of the phenomenon, because of the impact that G4 of My Little Pony has made. And that's why I have respect for this show and this franchise. I have respect for it for the impact that it's made, for the fact that it has done what no other originally intended girls show would ever do. It cross-cultured, it cross-referenced, it cross-cut, it broke down barriers for anybody, from young girls, young boys, teenage girls, young adult, young female, young adult women, young adult men. It's broken down a barrier to where they want a piece of the pie. They want a piece of it. It's even taking people like myself who don't watch the show on occasions. It's taking people like us to end up watching and recording maybe 2 holiday-related episodes. I recorded the Halloween one, the original Halloween-related episode they did for season 2. I recorded the original Christmas episode that they did. So for me to do that, and then for me to watch clips at times that people would say are funny, you need to watch this, and I watch it and get a kick out of it, it shows you, out of the respect I have, that I too get a kick out of what I see, that I have an appreciation of what this show has done, what the creative staff behind the show did for a franchise, for a show originally intended for young girls. I'm one of those, like I said, that don't watch it on occasions. I'm not a hardcore brony fan. I'm not a hardcore brony like, let's say, Huey Toonmore, out of respect to that guy. I'm not somebody that's going to come out here and review every episode of My Little Pony. I'm not someone that's going to come out here and dress up or wear a pony t-shirt or whatever. I'm not that kind of a person, but out of respect, I do appreciate what the show has become. Out of respect, I appreciate that the characters involved in this show, what they have done, how people can relate to them. The stories revolving around each and every one of them are great, are spectacular. Each episode, it focuses on Twilight, Rainbow Dash, Fluttershy, Rarity, Pinkie Pie, Applejack, Spike himself, or even Starlight Glimmer, or Trixie, or Princess Celestia, or Princess Luna, or Candace. They do such a good job that you get invested, from what I understand. From what I understand, they do such a good job they get you invested. When I heard about that finale that they did several seasons ago, that brought 2 characters back from G1, primarily the original pilot episode, and the way that battle went on at the end between Twilight and, what's his name, Trigon, or whatever his name was, it's like, damn. It's like, damn, no wonder people like it. You're going and doing things with these characters, this franchise, this show. I don't think anybody would have thought you would have done when you first conceived it, when you first came up with the idea. I don't think anybody would have done that. I don't think anybody, and I mean anybody, would have thought that. But yet here you are. Here you are. And it wasn't a rainbow. Well, I guess it was technically a rainbow in a sense. But it wasn't like, oh, we open up a locket, here comes the rainbow, and that takes out the darkness. No. From what I heard and even saw clips of, you had Twilight battling this guy. It's like, damn, who would have thought that? And the other things that they have done, they have shown that there are pony-like creatures, if not fellow ponies themselves, that are easily manipulated, that sometimes will have a misunderstanding, will become an enemy, but in the long run try to redeem themselves. Starlight Glimmer currently is a good example. So is Trixie. But the thing is, overall, there is no denying the impact that these characters on this show and the stories, the way they are written for these characters, either together or individually focused, there's no denying overall the impact it has had on all bases, on all media, on all genders and ages. There's no doubt about it. I mean, you have freaking brony cons, if you will, conventions dedicated to this. And that is primarily the male equivalent of the fan base sometimes. Now, do some people find, young men, young adult men, college bound or out of college or whatever, do they find it a little weird that they're fans of a show like this? Of course they do. Of course people are going to find it weird. Do they sometimes have to search around without a store, make sure no one's seen what they're going to do, and then grab something and purchase it? Of course they have to sometimes. Because we are in a world where some people don't understand that. I mean, heck, like I mentioned earlier, I still wrap my head around it. I still wonder how in the world has this show done what it's done, even to the point that a non-brony individual, a semi-occasional viewer when the time's right, or if there's nothing else on, or if it's a holiday-related episode, why would someone like me end up purchasing some MLP stuff? I mean, what I have basically is it's not massive or anything. I do have some of the card game. I do have the two boxes of card games that have Twilight and Luna on them. I have the Princess Celestia talking figure. I have the freaking Power Pony collection exclusively from Target. I have like 2 rarity plushes or something like that. But the thing is, I'm not that massive a fan. I only got those, and I even have, I think, a Twilight figure and a Candace figure. I think there's something like Crystal Empire or something. I got to look at it again. But the point I'm trying to make is, I'm not a fan to where, my home room is plastered in it. I'm not a fan that has a T-shirt with the whole cast on it. I'm not at that level, if you will. I'm at a level where I understand out of nostalgia why people like it, and I'm someone that's somewhat of a fan out of respect. Respect and nostalgia. It doesn't mean I have to watch religiously every episode. But you can be a fan. You can be a fan out of nostalgia and respect. And nostalgia at the fact that you grew up on the original foundation that made it possible for Generation 4, My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, to exist. and become the pop culture phenomenon that it has become. And it's out of respect due to the fact that this is the one show that, as I mentioned earlier, that if someone would have said this was going to cross platform all ages, genders, and media, no one would have believed them. But now they would have to look back and literally eat their words, because that's exactly what the show has done. So, overall, folks, my thoughts are this. You don't have to watch the episodes or the series religiously. I don't watch the TMNT series on Nickelodeon, but I keep in contact with it because I hear what Andre of Black Nerd Comedy says about it when he does his reviews. I look up information about the episodes that he talked about online. You don't have to, the same with My Little Pony. You don't have to watch the episodes. You can catch up with them either through reviews online, what people have had to say, and then judge for yourself. You know, there's a saying about spoilers. Sometimes if you read a spoiler, you pretty much have watched the episode without seeing it. You just basically read what's going to happen. And that's all you have to do sometimes if you don't want to watch the episode. Just read it. Just read what people have had to say after it comes out. Listen to the reviews if you want to. But to me, overall, MLP FIM is proving the one thing. And that is with the right talent behind the scenes and with the right talent behind the scenes and the right motivation, any show, whether be originally intended for girls, originally intended for boys, or even originally intended for both, can do wonders. It can do the impossible, and it can definitely make a huge cross-culture impact unlike any you've ever seen. But now the question remains, how long will this last? Will the movie itself be the finale, or will it continue on? You know, before I go, I will say this. One thing that's made me a fan out of respect, as crazy as it sounds, is I like the little story, the little arc they have going on occasions between Spike and Rarity. I like it because of the fact that at least when it came to the second season episode or something, or even the first season, I don't know which season it was, at least you have Spike and Rarity acknowledging both how he feels about her. And you still have that on occasions. You have several episodes that were dedicated to it throughout the seasons. And that's what made me a fan, because here you had an underdog in Spike. Basically the nerd, the goof off, if you will. In love with the most, in his eyes, with the most beautiful creature he's ever seen. It's basically the equivalent of Max and Roxanne in a sense, from Goofy Movie. You wouldn't think, I think Doug said in his Disney December review of it, I think he joked around to saying that would someone like Max ever get the hot girl? No, they wouldn't. But yet, in stories like this, he does. And that's what I like about this. The fact that it shows that even someone like Spike can possibly get someone like a Rarity. That you may not be the biggest, the strongest, but at least there's a possibility. And sometimes that possibility always can become a reality. I know that sounds strange of how that's what made me kind of have respect. But they never did that in any other incarnation, let's be honest. So, Again, the question is, will the movie itself, in closing, will the movie itself be the finale or will it continue on? But I thought I'd just do this to let you guys know that I am a fan out of respect and nostalgia for MLP FIM, not on the level of where I watch the show I watch the show religiously, but only on semi occasions, if not rare occasions, if not, but mostly on those semi occasions. But it's a fact that I'm a fan out of respect for what it's done. I'm a fan out of nostalgia for the fact that I grew up on the very My Little Pony that built the foundation for this. And all I could say is that's why I'm a fan, and that's why I talk about them. It's out of respect and nostalgia for the fact that I grew up on the original on the original G1 ponies that built the foundation for this franchise to become what it's become today. So, let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. Let me know how you became a fan, and whether or not you're a fan like me, that a fan of nostalgia and respect that just watches the show on occasions, not religiously. And let me know how you ended up kind of getting interested in becoming that. Well, not interested, but let me know how you, what moment, what scene, what topic, what situation in the show got you to become a fan. Like I said, like myself, out of just respect and nostalgia, if not out of respect primarily, and just watching the episodes occasionally. Let me know down below. Comment if you like, and I'll talk to y'all later.